Hi everybody, welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. We are currently in our new Curious Creatures area that opened back in 2017. So we have some pretty exciting animals here. We know one of our guests' favorite animals tend to be our moon jellies. So I'm standing here to tell you a little bit about our moon jellies. So moon jellies are obviously what most people would refer to as a jellyfish, but they aren't actually fish. That's why we just call them jellies here at the zoo. And they are a very interesting animal because they don't have much in the way of what you would picture on most animals. Jellies don't really have eyes, they don't really have brains, they don't really have any of that stuff that you would consider being a real animal. But they do have kind of optic spots around their bell. So if you're looking at a jelly, you've got the top part, which is the bell, and then down below you have the tentacles. And that bell part is where they have some optic spots. And if you notice the moon jellies, as they're swimming around in here, they do have this kind of four-leaf clover look in the middle of them, and that is their stomach. So our jellies here look like they got fed pretty recently, and that's why you can see the color in their stomach area. So they are digesting the food that the keepers gave to them earlier. And then down below is where their tentacles are. And their tentacles are how they typically catch their food. So their tentacles hang down, and as jellies kind of float past, their tentacles are what grabs the fish and the other things that they like to eat. And in those tentacles are something called nematocysts, which is what they hunt with. So those nematocysts are neat little cells, little teeny tiny cells all over the tentacles of the jelly that have inside a little tiny harpoon on a string that has some poison on it. So when the tentacles grab a hold of whatever food the jelly is swimming past, those nematocysts kind of shoot the little harpoons into the food that's there, and it poisons them, and it then also holds them into the tentacles so that the jellies can then eventually move it up to that clover shaped in the center of their bell. So that's how a jelly eats. I think it's very, very interesting. But I also know that here today we have our learning lab open. So if you guys want to follow me, we're going to head on over to our learning lab and see what's going on there.
Hi, welcome to the Learning Lab. If you'd like, please rinse your hands before coming up to meet our animals. Perfect. All right, so with our animals here, we use 2 fingers to touch any of them that you like to. So right here is our cowrie. So you notice they have a very, very beautiful shell. So in different parts of the world, they actually use these as currency, those shells. And these are actually related to snails. So their actually mantle will come out of their body, and that is kind of like kind of a slime all over that shell, and that helps give them that nice, bright, shiny color. And then over here, we also have 2 different sea urchins. You can touch right on top there. So this is our pincushion sea urchin. You can actually see those weird little things kind of sticking out all over the place. So those are called its tube feet. So like little suction cups. So that's how he moves around or grabs onto rocks and whatnot. And over here, same kind of thing. So this is a pencil sea urchin. So he has those same tube feet, so those same little suction cups. So underneath, you can actually see the sea urchin's mouth right there. So right there in the middle, and they actually have about 5 or so little teeth in there so they can grind up their food. So sea urchins really like different types of, they get lettuce here at the zoo, and then in the wild they might eat kelp and some other things like that. And then our final friend over here, so this is a chocolate chip sea star, so you can touch right in between his armpit right there. And the chocolate chips actually do serve a purpose in the wild, so they actually can be a little sharp to kind of maybe warn off predators. And then underneath, you see all those beautiful purple lines. So you can actually see sticking out right now. Those are his tube feet as well. So just like the sea urchin, he has all those suction cups all on his arms, and those help him move around and grab his food. Sea stars can also, they can actually use those to pry open oysters and different shellfish like that for their food. And a kind of gross fact about these guys, which I think is pretty cool, in the middle right there, so right there they actually would stick out their stomach. So they would stick out their stomach, digest their food, and then pull their stomach back inside their body.
So these are our 2 Madagascar hissing cockroaches. I actually have a boy and a girl with me right now. So in this hand is the boy, and in this hand is the girl. And the way I can tell is actually by looking for those little horns on their heads. So the boys have little horns, the girls do not. And the boys can actually use those because sometimes they get in little arguments over who's the top dog. So they sometimes fight a little bit, and they use those horns when they're fighting to decide dominance over the whole group of cockroaches that live together. together. If you want to give them a little touch, one finger touch right there on their back. And they're really, really smooth. So these guys are, as I said, cockroaches, but they are known as hissing cockroaches. And I don't know, you can kind of hear the girls a little bit mad at me right here. And very active today. So they do make a hissing sound when they get startled. Shh, you're fine. And that hissing sound is because these guys actually live in Madagascar, like we said, being Madagascar hissing cockroaches. And living there, they actually live in the leaf litter in the rainforest. So they're down underneath the leaves and just kind of hanging out being cockroaches. Well, as you might imagine, they are a favorite food of the lemurs. So they will hide underneath the leaves, and that's why they're kind of that brown color. But they also use this hissing sound because also underneath the leaves with them is a big snake called a Dumeral's ground boa. And they get to be about 6 to 7 feet long. And guess what snakes do when they're angry? They hiss. So these guys have mimicked the sound of a snake, and those big Dumeral's ground boas can actually eat lemurs. So it's a protective adaptation that they use where they will make that hissing sound so they sound like a snake, and the lemurs will not dig through the leaf litter to find them and leave them be. Now, a lot of people think cockroaches are disgusting, and they do kind of get a bad reputation, but these guys are very important because they are something called decomposers. So they will eat all of like the dead plant matter that is found in the rainforest where the lemurs live, because lemurs are really good at jumping around in the trees and dropping all of their food everywhere. And these guys will kind of clean up after the lemurs. Sometimes the lemurs will poop too, that happens. So these guys will also clean up that poop. And then when the cockroaches are done, they eat, and when they go to the bathroom, it comes out almost like a new soil, so it helps the trees in the rainforest to grow big and strong. So if it wasn't for these cockroaches, the lemurs actually wouldn't have a place to live in Madagascar. So they're actually a very, very helpful animal to have around. All right, so I'm going to switch our cockroach friends out, and I have another cool animal I want to introduce you to. So this is an African millipede, African giant millipede actually, because they are a lot bigger than our millipedes here in Ohio. If you want, you can give a little one finger touch right there on the millipede. Excellent, yep. So these millipedes, like I said, are from Africa, and they are known as a millipede, which makes it sound like they have millions of legs. But millipedes are a little bit smaller than that. They actually only have about 300 legs when they're all full-sized and grown. And you can kind of see those legs moving around there as he's walking around on my finger a little bit. Now, a lot of people mix up millipedes and centipedes because they both have a lot of legs and they kind of move similarly. Now, the centipedes, though, only have one pair of legs per segment. If you look really close at the millipede, he actually has 2 pairs of legs per segment. And that's what gives him those 300 legs he has to move around and find his food and that kind of thing. Now, millipedes do have antennae right there on the front that they use to feel their way around. They can't really see very well. They don't have much in the way of eyes. So they use those antennae to feel their way around and to find their food. They are very similar to the cockroaches in that they're also decomposers. So they also eat the dead plant material that they find. That's another difference between them and centipedes. Centipedes actually eat other animals and they're venomous. Millipedes are dead plant eaters. So they don't have any venom, but they are poisonous because they do create a cyanide in their body that if they're getting bothered by another animal, they'll actually release a little bit of cyanide, and they can be toxic to animals like lemurs and things like that that would try to eat them in the wild. So that's kind of how they protect themselves. So they're a very neat little animal. When they do get nervous, they do have the ability to curl up completely into a circle, and they tuck their head down in the middle because, let's be honest, if you're being bitten by something, you'd rather bite your rear end than your head. So they do hide their heads in the center of their circle when they do get scared. But as you can see, this guy's not scared at all. He's all trucking around my hand, checking everything out. Maybe he thinks I have a piece of yam stuck between my fingers or something. All right. Thank you very much.
Hi, welcome back. So we have just learned about our African millipedes, which are so cool. I love the fact that they are sort of the forest natural recyclers. So that's what I thought we would talk about today, how you can help be a recycler as well. And we're going to come up with some good recycling crafts. What I think is important, even though that millipede might make you a little squeamish to see him, he plays a really important role, and so do we in the world, that we have to take care of the earth. We need that millipede to eat all of that decay leaf debris on the bottom of the forest floor to keep that ecosystem in balance. And we at home, we need to really focus on doing our part also whenever we can recycle. We need to try to cut down on our single-use plastics. We need to not use the plastic shopping bags, straws, things like that are so simple that you can make a commitment to try that change, and you'll see how easy it is. So today I'm going to show you 2 crafts where you can help the environment and make something really cool. So our first craft, I referenced cutting down on that single-use plastic bag. So what you can do is just go find an old t-shirt. This was an old shirt that one of my sons used to wear. I love the stripes, had a stain on it. So now we're going to reuse this. The first step is you're going to cut the whole neckline off. So I removed that. Then you're going to cut here and cut both of the arms off. Easy. I wanted to keep the seam of where those were attached, so I did keep that intact. I cut right above that. Now when you get to the bottom, what we're going to do is we're going to fringe the whole hemline down at the bottom. Hold it real tight. You're going to cut. It was easy for me to measure. I just cut up this far, but maybe like 2.5 inches up. And then we're going to knot. We're going to knot these cuts that we made. So look at how cute this is. You could use this as a beach bag. Go to the pool, go down to the beach, shake all that sand off. If it gets wet, hang it outside to dry, throw it in the washing machine. These knots will hold up if you wash them numerous times. I was really, really happy with how this turned out. Again, you pick a cool print and I bet your teen will use it. Tie-dye would be so fun, something that they will enjoy using. Really cute. Our second recycled idea is for all ages to try out. So the bottle I chose to use is a detergent bottle. This is actually a home for someone. Can you guess who might want to hop in here and use this as a home? That's right, it's for a toad or a frog out in your garden. So really important to give them a space to feel safe where they can go tuck inside here and stay out of the hot sun this summer. And also, you're going to want to invite a frog or a toad to come into your garden. Guess what they eat? They eat mosquitoes and they eat flies. So if you can attract and build a nice safe home for them, you're going to cut down on the level of mosquitoes and flies that you have around in your backyard. So simple. I went outside, I found these little pine cones that had dropped off of a hemlock in my yard, glued on some rocks, cut out the opening, something that I didn't even realize. They told me to cut out a second opening for your frog or toad. You know why? In case a predator comes by. They need an escape route. They don't want to be stuck in there with only one hole to get out. So make sure you give them 2 holes here so they can run away. Another really important step that you need to do if you do build a home for a frog or a toad is also put out in your garden a little container full of water. And you can change this every day when you go out to look at your garden and water things. But your frog and toad will need a water source. So if you don't live right behind a pond, you're going to want to give them a little container of water that they can go over and drink from. And put in some leaf debris, a little bit of dirt, and hopefully you would have built a really cute, safe place for a frog or toad to hang out in your garden for the summer. If your house is like my house, we're all stuck inside, we're quarantined, we need comfort food. What do we love? We've been ordering a lot of pizza. Look at this pizza box. so sturdy. It's a shame that we get pizza in here and then it just immediately gets recycled because it's still in really good shape. So what I decided to do was to just cover the top, and we drew some pictures at my house of some of our favorite animals, favorite food we like to eat. Here's one of our natural recyclers, one of those millipedes up here at the top. So easy. Take your box and cut out some paper to fit in your box. So I cut out some big sheets of paper, and I actually want to give a shout out to some friends. I dropped these off at a friend's house, and their 3 little kiddos, so thank you to Audrey, Andrew, and Ellie. They drew me some great pictures to give you some ideas of what you could encourage your child to do in the box. This is a little roadmap for some Matchbox cars that maybe someone that will keep them busy for a little bit. They also drew a pool and a little golf course. Very cool, so that they could play and pretend with little dolls, little animal toys again. We also, we can see that Ellie wanted to help out here. Ellie is 2.5, awesome. And then we had Audrey made a little makeup palette. Here you can see she drew all of her makeup. And I put in some foil to be your mirror. You can do anything in this box. Really fun. They can keep their little math facts, sight words, make a keyboard, pretend it's their laptop. Keep all of their little drawings in here that they make. I know we never have a place. They have all these masterpieces and they want to hang on to them. So everybody could get a pizza box. There you go. A little busy box. Keep it all nice, organized, and there you go. Have fun.